Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm so glad you've joined us this Shabbat. I'm Rabbi David Levy. I'm joined in the leadership of this service by our rabbinic intern, Ariel Milan Polisar. And later on in our service, we will also be joined by Michelle Braun, a member of our community who will share with us words of Torah. Every week, as I prepare to embrace Shabbat, I always challenge myself to pause and try and embrace something positive, to welcome Shabbat with a little more light in my heart. And this week, important news which many of us have embraced is the light that I'm holding on to: the establishment of full diplomatic relations between Israel and the UAE, which represents a historic breakthrough for peace and reconciliation in the Middle East, and the Israeli government's suspension of annexation is welcome news that will hopefully lead to a peaceful two-state solution. That is my joyous news that I bring into this prayerful space. And if you have joy to add, and you're joining us via Zoom, which hopefully you saw the Zoom link to join us from our e-blast, or on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, I invite you to share a little bit more joy as I kindle the lights of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue to welcome Shabbat with Kabbalat Shabbat, some songs to celebrate its arrival. Please join me. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. We continue with Zamru Ladonai, continuing to welcome Shabbat with song. we just have so many ways that we welcome Shabbat. And our last one in our sort of warm-up is Lecha Dodi, as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
We greet Shabbats with the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vahed. If you were following WRT's Facebook and Instagram, you would have seen on our stories many pictures that Rabbi Blake posted of us starting to greet the high holiday season, even now a little over a month away from Rosh Hashanah. So this prayer book has been very close to me over these past few days and weeks. and I was drawn to the beautiful poetry that it offers, including this one that is offered before it as one of the readings for Ma'ariv Aravim. Bless Adonai, who spins day into dusk. With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and seasons come and go. With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens. Darkness and light yielding one to the other, yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life. Strive to know its ways. Seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilights. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vahen. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha. Vehayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha b'derech, uvshokbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotachot b'neinecha, uktavtam al mizuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, Vitem Kedoshim Lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eret Mitzrayim. Liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We sing Mi Chamocha, thanking God for our freedom. This is one of those pieces that makes me think of camp. And right now I'm thinking of camp a lot, as it's not happening this summer, at least my summer camp isn't. And this is one of those musical pieces that just brings me back every time. Join me. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim We move now to Vishamru, as we are grateful for Shabbat, this time to rest. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We prepare to offer the words of the Amidah with these words from Psalms. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai, yalalai lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi hagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon. גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. נאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please find in these moments the prayer of your heart. You may want to close your eyes or just take in a few moments and breathe as we pray together in silence.
Yehiyu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali Adonai tzuri v'goali Yehiyu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali Adonai tzuri v'goali.
One of my Bible professors was fond of saying that all translation is interpretation. That idea that when we look at any text, whether it's the Bible or a text in French or Spanish, once we change it from one language to another, there are things that don't quite translate. You don't get just exactly the, to use a term in French, je ne sais quoi, the right feel of something when you move from one language to the next. And that is eminently true in the Bible, a text that we are constantly studying, trying to better understand what it means, what it's trying to say. And there are countless translations of this text. And one of my favorites comes from the writer Robert Alter. Robert Alter is famous because he is trying to look at the text as an overall narrative. How does it play out in conversation with English? And he really is a thoughtful translator. And his seminal book on this text is The Art of Biblical Narrative. I say all this as introduction because our Darshanit this evening, Michelle Braun, is one of those devotees of Robert Alter. If you were to meet Michelle at Torah study, you are guaranteed to see a loving, well-loved copy of Alter's translation of the Bible in her hands, with Post-it notes and small writing, just to note all of the things that she's passionate about as she's exploring that sacred text. So it was with extreme joy on my part to share her Torah with all of you this evening, because she's always been one of the ones who's had something thoughtful to share in Torah study every time she raises her hand. A little bit more about Michelle. She, her husband Norm, and their child SJ joined WRT about a month after moving to this area in 2003. In addition to Shabbat and holiday services, they are fans of educational programming and are regulars at WRT's Shabbat morning Torah study. And inspired by that Torah study chevra, that community, Michelle is currently a graduate student at Hebrew University. She's also an aspiring artist and a contributor to the reformjudaism.org blog. And if you look on the WRT Facebook page, you can see a post on one of her great writings on the nature of time from a couple weeks ago. I pass to you, Michelle.
Unmute myself. Thank you, Rabbi. I'm going to assume you can hear me. Thank you, Rabbi, for inviting me to share some thoughts this week. First, a story. A bit over a year ago, when the second of my parents died, we held a family round robin to distribute our inheritance among the 10 children and grandchildren. The most useful items went first. The artwork, chairs, tables, and candlesticks. My portion includes a 3-branch candelabra decorated with 2 lions of Judah, along with a note that my father's mother had received it from her new mother-in-law as a wedding present. The candelabra isn't fancy, and it's not finely made. They were quite poor, and there was no money for frivolities. Still, there's something eternal and heartwarming in the traditional gift of Shabbat candlesticks to a young bride. As I was writing this, just over a week ago, we lost electric power at our house, like many in the area. As evening came, I went looking for flashlights and candlesticks and came across this candelabra. So I used my grandmother's wedding candlestick for the first time, albeit not on Shabbat, but to shed light for everyday living. So what does this story have to do with this week's Torah portion, which starts in Deuteronomy chapter 11? Deuteronomy is a retelling of the Israelites' journey from Egypt. Stylistically, this final book of the Torah is presented as Moses' last speeches to the Israelite people before he dies and turns leadership over to Joshua. Substantively, Deuteronomy lists laws and injunctions about worship in Jerusalem, about living daily life, and especially about not being enticed into the non-Israelite communities around them. Nominally, the Israelites are offered a choice. The opening lines are direct. See, I set before you today blessing and curse. The blessing, when you heed the command of the Lord your God, with which I charge you today. The curse, if you heed not the command of the Lord your God, and go after other gods which you did not know. A few lines later, the text instructs that everything which I charge you, that shall you keep and do. You shall not add to it, and you shall not subtract from it. So here we have it. If you want to earn the curses, follow other gods. If you want blessings, stay on the straight and narrow. A straight and narrow that includes specified rights and behaviors, not just a generalized belief in the one God who just led you across the desert from Egypt. Later on, in Deuteronomy will specify possible blessings and in gory detail the curses. As I see it, listing both blessings and curses provides either rhetorical flourish or implies some level of choice. Would you choose curses? In daily activities or big decisions, we think we can forecast possible consequences with some level of accuracy. What's the real probability of that? Building on the theme of remaining separate from the surrounding community, the next chapter contains an injunction against following a prophet or a dreamer of dreams. Specifically, should there arise in your midst a prophet or a dreamer of dreams and gives you a sign or a portent saying, let us go after other gods that you do not know and worship them, you shall not heed the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. The text emphatically warns against following said prophet or dreamer of dreams, even when the sign and the portent come about. Now, our Bible's replete with prophets to follow. So I ask, if a prophet's prophecy comes through, how in the heck are we to know if the prophet is truly a prophet of God and not a successful imposter? Jewish scholar Shalom Paul points out that prophets are selected by God and irresistibly compelled to deliver his message, at times even against their own will, and regardless of whether the people wish to hear it. He also reminds us that in the Bible, one does not elect to prophecy. Allegedly, then, we should follow only prophets who don't want the job, The prophet not to follow is the one who leads toward other gods, if you can tell the difference. A prophet or a dreamer of dreams. When I read a dreamer of dreams, I see a different image. Someone chided for being impractical, or a striver with creative ideas. In Deuteronomy's terms, though, the point is to not be lured from God by someone who claims to see the future via dreams. Here I recall our forebearer Jacob's experience. One night, as he escaped from trouble, Jacob dreamed a ladder reaching from the earth up toward heaven, with angels going up and coming down. And then he talked with God. This sounds pretty good to me. My grandfather Chaim Herman, married to Malka, later Helen, the bride with that lion candelabra, was not a dreamer of dreams. He was a practical man raised in a school of hard knocks who came to the new world seeking a working man's life to support his family. It wasn't easy. He had to threaten to divorce my grandmother if she wouldn't move from the old world. So she packed the Shabbat candelabra and 3 kids and took a ship to the US just in time for the Great Depression. It was a hard life, but in the US, they lived. Most of the family left behind who dreamed a different life, they perished. Both parts of this family tried to choose blessings, but by the time they saw the future, it was too late. The novel my daughter is writing, which, by the way, is currently seeking a publisher, opens by reminding the reader that prophecy is only a shield in the minds of men. A future seen is a future possible, yes, but only possible. It is never guaranteed. It can still be betrayed or turned aside with one skillfully landed blow. Or perhaps that very blow is what is needed to shunt a person or an entire land from their path and onto the road that prophecy foresaw. Yet men insist on thinking of prophecy as a concrete thing, immutable and fate-defining. Tell an army that the day is theirs and they will fight with all the fearless energy of the gods, but tell them that they are to be defeated and their morale sinks so low that the enemy scarcely need draw their swords at all. Which route leads to the blessings and which to the curse? Our current pandemic-driven mess illustrates fate 2 ways. It reteaches us that some things are random, such as who will live through this virus and who will die by it. It also reminds us of the public policies that influence those outcomes, of the role of personal responsibility, and of what we are obligated to do so as to not spread or catch this instrument of potential death. So, sitting in the dark, constrained in our activities by the pandemic, and with area streets blocked by fallen trees and power lines, I can at least hope that a bit of family history and practicality can help illuminate a path to blessings that we can share. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yasher Koach, beautifully offered. Ariel is gonna move you back into the attendee space, and then we'll welcome you back and everyone else who's joined us as panelists as we prepare to offer Kiddush in a little bit. But your words are resonant for this moment as we stand shoulder to shoulder with so many who hope to find the path of blessing for people that they love. People who don't know why their loved ones are on beds of sickness, don't understand the world that has brought them to this moment, but hope and pray that this is the moment where they will start the path towards healing. Our community thinks of Martin Schiff, Deborah Kapnick, Nicole Schusse, Amelia Austin, Joyce Schertzer, Leah Greenspan, Aviva Tzila Esther Bela, Dan Sokoloff, Jeffrey Millman, Chava Batsara, Eliyahu Chaim Ben Fredel, Sheila Freed, Tanya Romanoff, Yitzhak Yona Ben May, Yaakov Hirsch Ben Rachel, Malka Tzipora Bas Rachel, Tamar Bat Malka, Heschel Meir Ben David Chana, David Ze'ev Ben Fruma Etzel, and all those whom we are carrying in our hearts as we offer together these words to Misha Berach. continue with Aleinu. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. A meditation before we offer Kaddish Atom and remember those whom we have loved and lost. Death will come. Its hand will not be stayed even an instant, nor can we enter into judgment with it. Our question why will go unanswered. But this does not mean that we are helpless in the face of death. We can and we do rob death of ultimate victory by living life as long as it is ours to live. To ask of death that it never come is futile. But it is not futility to pray that when death comes for us, it may take us from a world one corner of which is a little better because we were there. When we are dead and people weep for us and grieve, let it be because we touch their lives with beauty and simplicity. Let it not be said that life was good to us, but rather that we were good to life. As we prepare to remember those whom we have loved and lost, we begin by lifting up the memory of those whom we've laid to rest in the past 4 weeks. Eleanor Mazer, mother of Audrey Weinberg and Debbie Berger, Dan Silver, cousin of Iris Burkhat, Rabbi Adam Steinsaltz, Hyman Sugar, father of Joel Sugar, Lawrence Solomon, father of Liza Lee, Mitchell Slater, husband of Pamela Slater, father of Lana, Amelia, and Julia Slater, son of Rita Slater and brother of Andrew Slater, John Simon, brother of Ann Elman. And the yard site, the anniversary of their passing, we remember Sarah Kramer Allen, Robert Altshuler, Max Burney, Dorothy Blau, Vivian Braun, Mervyn Brettschneider, Jill Brock, Neil Citron, Harvey Clayman, William Klarvitz, Manny Dopelt, Jerry Elsner, Burl E. Engler, Hilda Forsheimer, Albert Frankel, Leon Friedman, Ann Tuttle-Geary, Marshall Geller, Lou Jacob, Martin Mannheimer, Robert Jacobs, Harold Callan, Leonard Korotkin, Gene Kaufman, Sol Lair, Abby Mandelmeyer, Jerry Miller, Evelyn Moss, Lester Nadler, Jay Orson, Nathan Pessin, Judge Milton Pollock, Mark Pritch, Abraham Pritch, Sylvia Pritch, Esther Zimmerman Rocklin, Mildred Roller, Irving Shapiro, Sylvia Singer, Janet Snyder, Austin Strauss, Sanford Tamarin, and Robert Weinberger. With all those names I've mentioned aloud and all those that we are saying aloud in our own homes and in our own hearts, we continue with the words of Kaddish Atom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei D'Kudsha B'rechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran be'ama v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu be'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu be'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu be'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. A few announcements about some upcoming events that are happening at the temple. First, I hope that you'll join me. If you're joining us with young children, I hope that you'll join me tomorrow at 10:30. I'll be leading our summer Saturdays, a family Shabbat e-gathering. And I have a very silly joke about cephalopods to share. So I'll share it with all of you now as a preface. So those that come tomorrow, you can shout out the answer. What makes a cephalopod laugh? 10 tickles. I know, it's terrible, but it makes me smile. So I hope you'll join me for that. Or I hope that you'll join our Ariel Milan Polisar and Michelle Braun to engage, and our visiting scholar, Rabbi Jeffrey Middleman, our regular visiting scholar, to engage with the Torah portion tomorrow morning at 9:30. Both Zoom links you can find in the e-blast. Other upcoming events on Tuesday, there's an evening book group that meets once a month on Tuesdays at the temple, or now via Zoom. Their book this month is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. So if you've read it and you want to engage in a conversation about it, please contact Lenore Rosenbaum. Again, her email address is in the e-blast if you want to join in. Also, Rabbi Blake is continuing his class on Mishnah, the building blocks of Jewish life, Thursday at 10:15. And additionally, this is hot off the presses, we are preparing an in-person volunteer opportunity supporting our partners in DeRote and elders who are shut in during the season. All the more so, they're feeling lonely and alone during this time. So there'll be more opportunity in the e-blast, but it'll be in the last week of August. There will be a series of opportunities to come to make cards for those in need, all outside, all with appropriate safety precautions put into place. And I look forward to seeing you there and greeting you as we do some important work and get our hands dirty and helping those who need it. All that said, let's invite, Ariel, if you would start inviting as I lead Kiddush, all of those who've joined us on Zoom, and everyone is welcome to join us via Zoom in weeks to come. Again, just look for the link in your e-blast. And I lift up the symbol of our joy as we offer Kiddush together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava ratzon hinkilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Chaim.
This week, for all of you wondering at home, I have a rosemary sea salt challah. I don't know if you can see. I'm very excited about it. Please join me in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Tevon, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We can close with a little bit of singing just like we began. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Very good.
אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה. ולמחללי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי. אלוהי